just worked out that way because of the architecture. No, they didn't plan any of the architecture for this building or hire some of the best, stonemasons and stoneworkers probably in this whole region of the country. No, it's all just accidental. They happened to put the goddess there. They happened to put the double square around her. They happened to put her inside of a big phallic symbol. They happened to put the octagon directly over her head. All just happened that way. That's called coincidence theory at its finest. But hey, there's some people, these people will come out and say, we're your owners, we accept the devil as our God, and we're going to kill you now. And they'll still say, I don't believe it. That's how broken their brains are. That's where we're at. That's the level of denial that we're at. Because when a species becomes so sick, they start to go into the level of denial. I'm not sick and dying. I'm not being eaten by evil entities. No, that's not happening to me. That happens on other worlds. It doesn't happen here. All right, I'm going to wrap up this section. How are we doing on time? 17 minutes left? All right, I'm going to start this section then. And what we get through, we get through. If not, I'll pick it up on the other side. I want to go through some of the symbolism of intelligence agencies. Specifically one intelligence agency, which I'll get to in a moment. But I want to talk about the fact first that the modern intelligence apparatus in any given state or government is the highest level of the dark occult operating in that society. You want to know who the real dark occultists, the real sorcerers, the real dark wizards, the real dark workers are? Find the intelligence organizations within a given state, and you have the highest level dark occultists. All right? And because at some level, and I don't care how unpopular this makes me, I don't care how much people want to say, oh, it can't be so, I don't care how much you want to say what I'm about to say discredits my other work, eventually these agencies begin working with entities and consciousnesses that are not actually human. Okay, and that's controversial, and you could say whatever you want about that statement. But I'm telling you, you'll see it in these images. All right? So, the main intelligence agency whose symbolism I'm going to break down in this section, out of all the ones I could have chosen from, is this one right here, second from the left at the bottom, the National Reconnaissance Organization. The National Reconnaissance Office, the NRO. This is their seal, the National Reconnaissance Office. And you see it has the Earth, and it's, has an orbital line with a ball going around it representing ostensibly a satellite. But what I want to show people here is some of the symbolism that is so drastically, blatantly, undoubtedly, in your face, dark occult symbolism that I don't know after showing these images to somebody, if you could say, people who have sick, twisted religious belief systems aren't involved at some of the highest levels of intelligence agencies and government. I don't know what to tell anybody, Like I said, it's like at that point, wrap it up. That person doesn't want to know. They want to remain ignorant. And they want to think that the world is something that it is not, because they're more comfortable with a lie than they are with the truth. So let's look at who the NRO actually is. They're basically responsible for all of the reconnaissance satellites that go into orbit, spy satellites essentially. And they are the intelligence agency operating in the United States that has the least amount of employees working for them, yet the biggest budget in monies allocated to their budget. Okay. Now, in this chart, okay, so the number of people working for the organization is the left-hand axis. It says total civilian and military personnel for the year 1996. And then this is the amount of money that was spent on that organization in that year, in that 1 year alone, $6 billion, over $6 billion for the NRO. Whereas they have less than 10,000 people working for them. All of these other organizations have much more people working for them. Great, thank you. 15 minutes. So, it says here as a caveat, this note, The National Reconnaissance Office, NRO, directly funds a small number of personnel, but indirectly funds tens of thousands of contractor personnel. That means they're not listed on their official budget, but yet they fund private entities. They fund people in the private sector to do some of the analysis work that they perform. Most of the time, these are known as SAPs, or Special Access Projects. Look up the term. Okay? This is how they're keeping the things that they do completely unaccountable, according to the regular ways and means of Congress. They're keeping it out of that oversight by putting it in the private sector under SAP, Special Access Projects. That's why they're making this caveat. Well, there's obviously less than 1,000 probably official employees, but they do fund tens of thousands of contractor personnel in the private sector. All right, that's just a caveat I wanted to note there. I'm going to actually wrap it up right here on this slide, because on the other side of the dinner break, what I want to do is we'll break a little bit early, so we'll be back here at 6 o'clock for the wrap-up. I'm going to break down some of the National Reconnaissance Office dark occult symbolism, and then I'm going to give a case study in light occult symbolism, in very powerful spiritual positive occult symbolism, in the breaking down of the major arcana of the tarot deck. So ladies and gentlemen, meet back here at 6 p.m. Thank you. All right, everyone, welcome back. After dinner, I hope your dinner break was enjoyable. I'm going to move into the last two sections for the seminar this evening, and if time permits, we'll do a question and answer session afterward. I'll try to move through these rather swiftly. There's not too much material left. Like I said, two sections. I'm going to break down some of the dark occult symbolism in National Reconnaissance Office, or NRO, launch mission patches. And I think after I show you these patches, you'll agree that there are forces at work in government and in these intelligence offices that most certainly have a bizarre religion and a bizarre sense of what symbolism they find attractive, let's say. So again, the NRO is the office that has the least amount of employees working for them officially, and the largest intelligence budget allocated to that department. Let's start looking at some of their symbolism in their mission patches. So this is one of their patches that essentially contains, of course, the all-seeing eye. Now, what you're going to see here also is constant images of these symbols floating above or over the earth. And you'll see stars as well. Now, these four stars, people have suggested the four, and you'll see a 6-star configuration as well, with 5 and 1. Some people have suggested that this represents different areas from which these satellites were worked on and maybe launched. You know, there's an area in the Groom Lake facility called Area 4 or S4. You know, 4 stars here could indicate that. I'm not saying it definitely does. But you'll see some patches with, 5 stars together and then 1 offset. And people think that that means Area 51. But this patch, which is their fleet operation patch, that's what FLT Ops stands for. The Latin insignia underneath it, nos no una, nos abeo una, means we float together or we swim together. But, in this connotation, it means, we swim together in the sky or in space, okay? And we depart together. So nos no una means we float or swim together in Latin. And then nos abeo una means we depart together, meaning we arrive together as a flotilla and we leave or depart together as a flotilla. Now, my take on this is, how many people have seen these so-called UFO fleets? We don't know what these things are. If you've ever seen the videos, they certainly float together, and when they leave together. You know, I'm not saying that's definitely what this is a reference to, but it kind of does make you think what kind of very exotic, if not otherworldly technologies these people are working on and are putting in our skies. This is one of the most blatantly dark occult and satanic patches I've ever seen from the symbolism and Latin insignia that is on it. Again, you see the 4 stars. You'll see that over and over again, more likely than not representing S4. If I had to take a best guesstimate, I would say that's what those 4 stars represent, although I could be incorrect about that. Now, you see the all-seeing eye in the pyramid, okay? And then the NRO patch designation, the mission designation. Now, we saw what the all-seeing eye represented. It represents God, divinity, okay? The light of the Creator. And, of course, the pyramid, the stone representing the block to that light. Now, what makes this satanic is the fact that the rocket carrying the payload or the mission satellite is getting ready to fly over the top of the all-seeing eye in its trajectory. Now, that in and of itself would not be so sinister, but what makes it sinister is the Latin term supra summus. I know that's a little bit difficult to see on this screen. Hopefully people can see that. It's S-U-P-R-A-S-U-M-M-U-S, supra summus. In Latin, that means, get ready for this, higher than the Most High. Okay? Higher than the Most High. In other words, we're higher than God. Because we're putting these satellites in such a high orbit, it sees everything that's going on the earth. You know, we look at ourselves as the all-seeing eye. We're higher than God. Now, to me, they can't get any more blasphemous or blatant than that. But, you know, you'll see how far they go. Here's one. Their mission launch was number 32, XXXII in Roman numerals. Of course, that is the last level of Freemasonry before what is known as illuminized or illuminated Freemasonry, representing levels 33 and above. The 32 to 33 degrees in Freemasonry represents the difference between frozen water and flowing water, ice or liquid water. You know, the heat of the sun or the light melts water at 33 degrees and changes it from ice into flowing liquid water. What I wanted to point out here is the blatantly bird-like or reptilian eye symbolism. That's definitely not a human eye in this iconography. We're talking about something that has scales over top of it toward the right-hand side for sure. You know, people want to say, oh, the all-seeing eye on the back of the dollar bill is reptilian. You know, that's from the type of pattern that engraving system that was originally, you know, cut with or engraved with, you know, the pattern that it takes on. It doesn't it represents a human eye, a human styled eye. This clearly is not a human styled eye and has very bird-like or possibly serpent-like connotation to it. Again, I'm going to follow themes with these where, you know, we're looking at all-seeing eye symbolism within these mission patches. Here's one, Annuit Coeptus, again, the all-seeing eye very clearly portrayed. Again, you have the number 4 inside the triangle at the bottom. The number 4 or 4 stars comes up over and over and over again in these patches. Again, NROL stands for National Reconnaissance Office Launch, number 32. Again, there's that 32 number as well. Here's some owl symbolism contained in National Reconnaissance patch from 2000, and the phrase, "We own the night," clearly with a reference to being able to see in the dark or surveil in the dark. Okay, we're going to go through some that have blatantly satanic overtones to them as far as Luciferian symbolism or blatant satanic symbolism. So this is launch number 49, clearly with a demon or fallen angel form in it that they have named Betty here. And it's obscuring the sun with its wing, holding some kind of a trident and a wrench in the other hand, with its hair on fire and a serpent-like snake going around its body. Then you see the earth partly occulted by shadow, and underneath it, it says, Primoris gravis ex occasus, which means in Latin, first and important from the fall, is the best that I can translate that. Or first and grave, or heavy, or important from the fall. Now, what that means is obviously very occulted. Now, I couldn't tell you what this mission is ultimately about, but clearly there's blatant satanic symbolism in it, and the earth is in shadow. And occasus could also mean sunset. So you see the sun being obscured. If you look at that as, if you turn that and look at it as hills and the sun going behind it, it could be construed as a sunset. And you see the shadow of the earth, representing the line between light and darkness as the sun sets or rises. So occasus could mean the fall, clearly resonating with fallen angel symbolism, but it could also mean sunset or the obscuration or occultation of light. So very clear satanic overtones or Luciferian overtones there. Here's one, NROL 66, National Reconnaissance Office Launch 66, Get Your Kicks on 66, with a clear representation of the Baal figure, the bull, representation of Satan. Again, that's what these Moloch ceremonies usually were dedicated to, the bull god Molech. So that's a depiction of Molech if there ever was one, as far as I'm concerned. Here's one with the Egyptian god of the underworld Anubis depicted, looking very sinister with red eyes and fangs and a tongue out, and the blatant phallic symbol of the missile coming up from the earth. Yep. Here's more blatant satanic symbolism. Pan, standing for ostensibly palladium at night, but Pan, of course, is another demon figure in certain pagan mythology. So here's another one representing the phoenix, and it says, and flames, clearly, satanic or diabolical overtones there. The phrase Melior diabolus quem scies means better the devil you know. In other words, you'd rather have us doing this than somehow the devil you don't know going out there and doing this. So, we have your interest in mind. You better trust us. Better the devil you know, with the American flag behind the phoenix. Here's one that is a clear reference to dark occultists not wanting anybody to get involved in their business. It's a blatant warning or threat. And this is special projects of the NRO with a dragon coming out of the clouds shooting lightning bolts down. You'll see a repeated imagery of dragons, lightning bolts pointed at or down at the earth. And the Latin insignia at the top says, Procul este profani, which means away with the profane. The profane are not welcome here, in other words. Okay? Away with the profane. They're telling people, if you're not on the inner circle, if you're not in the esoteric circle, if you're not with us, with the initiates, the sorcerers who do this type of hidden, covert science work, then you are one of the profane and your eyes are not welcome here. For people who want to look into the connections of NASA and the occult, or space agencies in the United States in general in the occult, it's a rabbit hole. You could study that for a lifetime in and of itself. How many dark magicians were involved in different space agencies, and they're clearly telling you who they are and telling you you're not welcome. Here's more. So this section is all about dragons. A dragon is a symbol of power, authority, knowledge, hidden knowledge especially. And this one, you have the dragon holding the entire planet, surrounding the entire planet, as if he's either, it's his child, or perhaps he's getting ready to eat it. But it says, omnis vestri substructio es servus ad nobis. And this is a very broken Latin phrase. It's not really structured properly in Latin deliberately. I'll tell you what it means in a moment, but I just want to point out there's that 5 and 1 star configuration that I talked about that some people have suggested represents Area 51 or 51. Again, May Day is a big occult satanic holiday known as Walpurgisnacht. All right, Walpurgisnacht or Beltane. It means bell's wheel, the beginning of the or the midpoint of the spring season, I should say, where sacrifice in the form of blood sacrifice was traditionally offered toward the sun and the earth in order to ensure bountiful spring growth, so there would be a bountiful harvest in the reaping season. So, omnis vestri substructio es servus ad nobis means all your base are belong to us. Now, for people who may know what that means, there's a reason it's in that very improper grammar. It's a reference to a big internet meme that was going around in the early 2000s, I believe, where some video game manufacturer from Japan had put out this video game with all kinds of grammatical errors in English, where they didn't even, check the grammar, and they put out, this game that had laughably bad English in it. And one of the phrases that the mission commander, the evil mission commander, says to the good guys is, all your base are belong to us. Meaning, we're going to take all your bases now, but they didn't get the translation right in the game, in the video game. So they were kind of playing on this theme, saying all your base are belong to us, because clearly what this probably is a reconnaissance mission to send satellites up to penetrate into underground bunkers or underground bases. And they're basically saying you have nowhere to hide. Here's another dragon holding the earth. This is a repeated theme throughout. He's got a diamond in his tail. And of course, he's an American dragon. He has the American flag as his wings, This is a wonderful American symbolism, don't you think? I mean, that's American through and through there. Here's more snakes curled around the earth. Serpent symbolism. Again, you see this repeated theme of 4 stars and then 1. Here's, 4 stars over here and then 2. Not quite sure what the stars really represent there, but clearly you have more reptilian symbolism surrounding the earth. The Latin phrase numquam ante numquam iterum means never before and never again. And again, I can't tell you what that means. It's obviously inside knowledge regarding whatever this particular mission or launch was about. The Information Assurance Office works closely with the NRO. They call themselves the defenders of the domain. This concept of knighthood, as if it's something that was so valiant, when really what the knights were the protectors of the king's land, basically reinforcing feudalism. And what they're doing is they're showing you we're constructing the world grid, where there's total surveillance all the time. And that's the earth in a cage. I mean, the symbol right there is the earth inside of a cage. And these people think they're somehow creating or defending freedom, Oh, they're defenders of the domain of slavery, all right. They're defenders of the domain of feudalism, for sure. Here's some blatant alien symbolism, and I would say demonic symbolism. I've broken down in my occult mockery presentation how the Air Force logo is actually a demon's face. I mean, if you look at it, the eyes, you have the brows, the horns going up, the nose coming down, and then the mouth looking very sinister. I could see it very clearly. I don't know how people who revere the symbol cannot see that that's a demon's face. And if I had to make a best guesstimate, that's the demon known as Chort. In every depiction I've ever seen of Chort portrayed, that's his face. I could be wrong about that, but it certainly looks like it to me. Then you have the typical alien gray with the huge almond-shaped black eyes, no nose, no mouth to speak of, and large head. The typical alien gray. The phrase underneath says, oderant dum metuant, which means let them hate as long as they fear. I mean, is that like something, that depicts American values? Now, I believe that is a phrase first uttered by the Roman Emperor Caligula, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a statement by Caligula. Oderint dum metuant meant, let them hate as long as they fear. They can hate me as long as they fear me. It's like saying, we're in control. We know we're in control. And you can hate it all you want as long as you're afraid. It's blatant posturing. It's up in your face as far as I'm concerned. And what is the reference, what is the direct connection to these alien grays is what I want to know. I mean, why is this on a United States mission patch, a gray alien face? People don't think there's anything weird to that. They're just playing games. They're just having some fun and, putting some stuff that they don't really believe in on their patches. That's all. Yeah. Here's another alien gray eating a B-2 bomber. And I say eating because I know what the phrase means underneath. This is a classified flight test number 509. I do not know what those trident symbols are in the background. And it has something that looks like a male symbol on the B-2 bomber there, but it doesn't have the arrow. It's not a feminine symbol. It's like an O with a little, kind of protrusion coming out of it. But the alien seems to be devouring this B-2 bomber, and gustas similis pullus means tastes like chicken. So I guess that's a reference to the alien's taste of the B-2 bomber. I mean, they get weirder and weirder, folks, I mean, it's perfectly normal, well psychologically adjusted people working in this office, clearly, with pure American values. This is the most recent one. Launch 39 happened, or it might not be the most recent, but it's a very recent one. This went off in 2013. An octopus, basically devouring the earth with its tentacles all over the earth. And it says, nothing is beyond our reach. I don't know how much more blatant you want to get. I mean, they're telling you, this is Cthulhu-like in its scope, the macrobes, of Lovecraftian visage here, just holding the earth in its grip. I don't personally think anybody who sees this as super sinister is making any kind of a big deal about it. I think it speaks for itself. I mean, if you can't see that there's sinister overtones to that, big, huge, Cthulhu-like demon octopus entity devouring the earth, and that's what they are. I mean, they're really telling you what they're doing, as far as I'm concerned. Here's more alien or demonic or shadow people symbolism with this chevron shape that keeps appearing over and over again. 23D, space operations, semper vigilans, which means always watching or always watchful. Now I'm going to move into some of these mission patches that deal with clearly occultic imagery, clearly wizard imagery. Certain subdivisions of the people within the NRO actually refer to themselves as the wizards, I have heard, okay, through people who have studied some of this, space aspects to the control system a little bit more. They have put forward that there's, certain special mission teams within these organizations that refer to themselves as the wizards or the sorcerers, because they have the highest level inside knowledge about what the actual purpose of these missions are, whereas everybody else is on a need-to-know basis. So they're the inner circle of the inner circle, you might say. And in this case, it's the flight test squadron. You see a sword, a sorcerer's sword there. The sorcerer sending a lightning bolt down to the mountains. He's in some kind of a chevron-shaped craft. He's holding that O-shaped thing with the little protrusion coming out of it. I can't tell you what that is because I don't know. And, he's casting some kind of a spell, and there you see that star configuration once again, the 5 and the 1, repeated again. And, if anybody sees anything that I don't, I'm welcome to interpretations. Email me or, just get a hold of me afterward and, tell me what you thought or what you saw. If I missed something or didn't touch on something, that's fine. Please do bring it to my attention. Here's more wizard symbology. This whole section will deal with wizards and sorcerers. They don't have anything to do with the occult, these people. Don't worry about it, folks. It's completely innocent. These people are not occultists. They're not dark occultists. They're not involved in this in any way. He's again holding some type of a scepter, presiding over the earth. Again, there's that lightning bolt. You have the craft sending some kind of a satellite into orbit. 1 star over the wizard's hat. I don't know what the letters CW represent, but the Latin translation of Arcana Imperii is imperial secret knowledge, or secret knowledge of the empire. Because we have an empire, right? This is an empire. It wasn't intended to be a republic. We're an empire. And we have the secret knowledge of the empire, is what they're telling you. They're the wizards who have the secret knowledge of how these covert sciences really work. Here's more electric wizard symbology, I guess you could call this. Over and over again, lightning bolts pointed at the earth. This is all about, I feel, scalar technology and, the ability to create energy systems at will. It's a perverted application of some of Tesla's patents and technologies and higher level sciences that he was working on to bring forward for the betterment of humanity. And then these dark, sick, psychopathic sorcerers took all that and employed it for destructive purposes and control purposes, as they always do. That's all they can do, is take somebody else's work and pervert it. So here's one other one. The same motif once again, clearly depicted, the scepter shooting the lightning bolt down at the earth with the orb in his other hand. Here's more blatantly dark wizard iconography here. I'm not sure what they're getting at, what that object going into that ball is. It could be wormhole symbolism for all I know. Your guess is probably as good as mine. They're assessing the future all right. They're assessing the future for total takeover and slavery. And then they get, purely dark. Don't ask because it's none of your effing business. But, maybe this had something to do with the moon. We have the crescent moon on there and then the question mark. They're not even going to give you any hints or symbolism. And, then it gets even worse than that, because then there's just the blank one, that says, C.I.A. certiorem faciam mihi tu delendus eris. I guess my Latin pronunciation is not too shabby. It might not be perfect, but that means, if I made you aware, you would have to be destroyed by me, or I would have to kill you. So if I told you about what this is about, I would have to kill you. That's what that loosely translates to. And there's nothing in the middle of the patch.
I hear they're available for kids' birthdays.
Yeah. A great group of guys you'd probably want to hang out with. They're clearly very mentally balanced. Okay, so look, in that section, for all I have to say is, if anybody looking at the occult symbology of those patches doesn't understand that at the highest levels of intelligence and government in this country, you have people who are involved in a sick